Well, initially, I want to thank everyone for coming here today. We have a lot to discuss, so I first want to address the recent filing that I submitted on behalf of Diane and Steve in opposition to the defendant's motion to dismiss. We are confident that the law is in our favor, but I'm not here today to try the case. I can tell you that our civil assignment judge, Judge Porto, has taken over this case, and due to his schedule, the hearing has been postponed from November 7th to December 19th. Now, in the interval, I am hopeful that we'll be able to narrow for Judge Porto the issues at hand. And I first want to talk about this state medical examiner's office. I have had what I would call excellent dialogue with the Deputy Attorney General who's been assigned to the case. There are numerous defendants in the case, but the Attorney General's office only represents the state medical examiner's office. And here's what that dialogue has been. We need to know exactly what items of evidence or property are in the possession of the state medical examiner's office. Do their internal protocols dictate that they have to keep the various items beyond 10 years? Now, the state medical examiner's office does not have a legal obligation to tell the Valantes the status of any ongoing investigation that they may be involved in. We know that they have taken the position that Tiffany died by suicide, and they know that the family disagrees with that. But if the state medical examiner's office was to indicate to Diane and Steve that they have a reason that they want to keep the various items there because of the possibility that those items could be used in a future criminal prosecution, then obviously Steve and Diane will withdraw that part of the lawsuit and say, keep everything. Because ultimately our goal is to find the perpetrators that were involved in her disappearance. I'm going to talk about the perpetrators in a moment. So the law is clear that those that had evidence/property, due to the constitutional amendment, had an obligation to turn over property/evidence to Steve and Diane. It hasn't been done. Now, I was asked recently, why did they do it? I'm going to be candid with you. We've done extensive research on this. I think this is literally the first case where a family says, wait a minute, give us what you have. Don't discard it. Don't destroy it. We have spent 10 years fighting for our daughter, and we may need this evidence 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down. And Steve and Diane had made arrangements that, in the event that I'm not around or other people that are part of the team are not around, that the evidence will be maintained according to law enforcement protocols. Now, the New Jersey Transit Police Department, if they said to us, we want to keep the evidence, that would be an indicator that perhaps they have reopened the investigation. What is key to understand is the family never was advised that the investigation was permanently closed. In the lawsuit that we filed, we included an internal report from the New Jersey Transit Police Department that indicated that in October, after her passing in July, that the file was exceptionally closed. That is FBI language, meaning that due to the apparent suicide, that the New Jersey Transit Police Department had closed the file. That doesn't mean that they cannot reopen it or reopen it. The one thing that we have learned over the years is that law enforcement may reopen an investigation without necessarily telling the family. And that's understandable. They have their purposes. So what do we need to know from New Jersey Transit? Are you finished with the evidence? What do you have? Did you discard some of the evidence? What we really need back are those 2 SD cards that came from the deer cameras on both sides of the driveway that Steve had installed. Because we have arranged with Cornerstone Discovery of Philadelphia for them to do a big dive into the original negatives to see what's there. And they showed me the potential that we may see people, will get better tag numbers from vehicles. Those cars are important. Again, if New Jersey Transit says we will hold on to this because there could be a future criminal prosecution, we will work hand in hand with New Jersey Transit. Now, before I get to the final topic today, Diane indicated to me that she has written something here and she would like to share these. Thank you.
First off, I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. We want you to know we appreciate you all for covering Tiffany's story for the past 10 years to help us get justice for our daughter. I also want to thank our pro bono team for their dedication, hard work, our family, and all the people around the world for their prayers, love, and support. As Paul said, we're not giving up. We will never give up on finding the truth of what happened to Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, here's the last point that we want to share with you. We originally started with a reward, $10,000, $20,000, $40,000. Let me make it clear to everyone that this money didn't come from some billionaire benefactor. It came from Steve and Diane, who are hard-working people. This was their money that they had put aside, possibly for retirement. They have, by what I have observed over the last 10 years, have spent close to $50,000 of their own money. And now, because of certain developments that have taken place in this case, and because of a download from Tiffany's computer and cell phone that was recently done and which was paid for by Steve and Diane, approximately $10,000, we have new information that has come up. We're looking at text messages, videos, because of the new software that's involved. We have also identified, after 10 years of detailed research that nobody knows about because it was private to what this civil investigation was all about, we have identified clearly persons of interest. These people are individuals that have information. And the reason that we're going to redirect that $40,000 and use it to pay for lawyers in other jurisdictions, to pay for more investigation through technology, looking at what people were texting each other on their cell phones or the night in question, we need that $40,000 directed to those efforts. These people of interest have only heightened our commitment because they will not talk to us. If they had nothing to hide, why won't they talk to us? They won't talk to our pro bono investigators. They won't talk to anybody. We send letters, we call them, they're silent. That says to us and the pro bono team that they have information. They may not necessarily have been involved in Tiffany's demise, but they have information. I would go so far as to say there are certain individuals that we're going to be asking for them to come to our law office for a deposition under oath, and we have questions for them. If you have nothing to hide, then don't be afraid of coming to our law office. We're going to ask you some basic questions, and you'll help this family. Now, we have identified certain people that very quickly left town after Tiffany's death. They're in 2 jurisdictions that we know of now, maybe 3. We need this money, which is the hard-earned money of Steve and Diane. This is not contributions for Mr. Bezos of Amazon saying, oh, here, use the money. This is their money. We're going to use it for the purposes that are important. So if you're asking me, is the reward on the table? The answer is no, it's not. It's their money. They're going to use it for what they think is important, and I support their decision. Right, buddy?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. I have nothing else to add. Okay.
So one of the things that's brought up in this suit is that every time you've asked questions, you've had to file a lawsuit to get any kind of answers. And you've talked about the amount of money that has been spent out of their pockets. How much does this open up that, you've done all of your work pro bono?
Right.
What other families who may be going through, obviously not something exactly like this, but may have, what kind of recourse would you suggest for them? Because what kind of amount would actually have come out of their pockets if they were paying for everything?
Over the years, I probably received 30 phone calls from families that are in a similar position as Steve and Diane Valiante. There's a balance in here. Right? Law enforcement can only do so much. To be clear about it, the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office, every time we came up with what we thought was credible evidence, they said, Paul, bring it to us. They have had an open door policy. And they said, you get credible evidence, give it to us, and we'll do what we have to do. Mere theorizing as to what happened to somebody is not the level of evidence that you need. So our personal commitment is to get the type of evidence that the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office can utilize. Now, for the other families that have contacted me, I have to tell you that there's this one case in Camden County where the police department has been exceptional in trying to discover what happened to the mother of these 3 daughters. And it is a mystery. It is a total mystery. It's very much like the disappearance of Tiffany on the night in question. And let's talk about that for a second. I want everybody to remember this. Tiffany's outside the home. Diane goes inside the home to get Steve. They're outside within 2 minutes. She's gone. Why? She walked to the end of the driveway. There was somebody that she recognized, and she got into a motor vehicle. And that's how she was transferred to the area where this horrible incident took place. We have a lot of theories as to what took place there near the railroad tracks. They're theories. They're sound theories, and these theories have been vetted by an ex-FBI agent, very high-ranking, offered his services. 3 members retired from the New Jersey State Police, and many retired men and women from local law enforcement. And what has everybody said? To be objective, they say, you can't say this is suicide. Okay? And that's why there has to be more of an investigation. Now, keep in mind, and I don't want to go back to the investigation that was done by the New Jersey Transit Police Department, or wasn't done. That's history. We're talking about today. And I would say to all these families, technology. That's how we're going to solve these cold cases. And the key is to move quickly to get that technology, get these downloads from the various towers that are in your area. And then the hard task is, once you have all that information, and again, there has to be a couple 100,000 pieces on the recent download that was done, that thanks to the efforts of Marie McGovern, who's a journalist that has been investigating this case, she's read them all and helped me in that task. That's the key. Now, see, this is why it's not as easy as people may think it is. You have a text message here. Now, the response could be way at the bottom. That's why you have to keep going through all these text messages over and over again. We are there, and that's as a result of that, we now know the people of interest. They have said certain things in the night in question text messages that make it clear they know something. Now, how can it be that 10 years later, not one piece of evidence, not one person has come forward and said, here's why it was suicide? Nothing. I submit that those people, and that you know who you are, that have this information, they're afraid. I don't know what they're afraid of, but they're afraid. And that's why I suggest, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, get a good lawyer and do what you have to do to protect yourself. But we're going to be going after these people, and we intend to conduct depositions out of state. And how we're going to do it is, we will get an order of the New Jersey court permitting us to take a personal deposition. We then have to hire lawyers in these other jurisdictions. With that order, they have to file a complaint in that jurisdiction to get another court order to take the deposition of the person. So we'll be coming to these other jurisdictions, 2 for sure. And that's why we're going to need this $40,000 to hire these lawyers. We don't expect them, to do it for free. But you're right. There are many cold cases out there, and it's the commitment of the family that keeps it going. But you know what Stephen Diane said to me this morning? She said, Paul, it's not about us, and as much as we love you, Paul, it's not about you. It's about Tiffany. Why think about this, 20 million people around the world have watched the Unsolved Mystery piece. 20 million. 15,000 people have signed the petition on change.org. It is the story of Tiffany Valiante that people won't let die. And thank God. Thank God there's this interest in the case. That's why I say to the State Medical Examiner's Office and New Jersey Transit, through your lawyers, let's work something out that makes sense for everybody. And because this is a case of first impression in our mind, I think it was appropriate to handle it by way of a lawsuit. So this way we have the court overseeing what has to be done. So I don't view this litigation as adversarial as it may appear. I'm confident we're gonna do what's right for Tiffany.
With you guys, when this first came out, obviously there were a lot of people who thought these are grieving parents who don't want to believe that their daughter would have done this. Have you gotten any solid, I know that you'll never have that whole field that you lost Tiffany, even if you get the answers, but is there any comfort in knowing so many people now seem to be asking questions? People who have seen the documentary, people who have read these about the lawsuits. I've seen it in just my comments, people saying they deserve answers. She didn't commit suicide. Is there any kind of comfort in that?
That's how it really does. Because the people are seeing what we see. And it makes sense.
No, that's
Really,
Yeah.
it's common sense.
The interest, as I said, worldwide, is a great comfort to see in Diane, for the reason you just said. Yeah, really. Yes. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.